probably 100 plus people here, which is awesome. So we started the new initiative to get the rest of the groups more involved with product. So these meetings, this exact meeting that we're having today, have been going on for the last 4 months, 5 months, at least since the beginning of the year, probably even longer than that. I guess, yeah, since the beginning of product. So when we did them for Dealer Fire specifically, what we did was we invited your directors or your managers or whatever to come and listen, and then hopefully direct messages down to the staff. I hope that was happening. I believe that it was. I trust that it was, but we thought it'd be nice to get more, not only buy-in, but input and knowledge kind of flowing all the way from the top down. So product isn't just us, right? You guys all live the product every day. You use it. You love it. You hate it. Maybe you sometimes hate it more than love it. We're trying to fix that, which is why you're here. So there's a few other things we're doing as well. We had our first product council meeting yesterday, which is kind of what we just talked about. It's more of the directors and management that come in. They're supposed to work with you, hopefully on a daily basis, and then kind of bring your feedback to us. So instead of us coming like this meeting saying, this is what we did, hopefully you like it, that meeting kind of tells us, hey, this is what we need to get done. Because we know as we're working every day what helps the customers, what helps us use the product better, right? Makes it more efficient, makes it more profitable, whatever. So there's a few initiatives that we're really excited about to get you guys more involved. So this is just one of those things. Additionally, something we're doing to help give you guys an outlet to continue to kind of get feedback to us on an informal basis or just kind of as necessary is a new product request form. So you guys all have ideas. Most of you, or at least some of you at some point or another, have come to me or Genevieve or Eric or Kevin or whatever, anybody you know's kind of connected with product with an idea. So we wanted to be able to formalize that, because right now you might come say something to me and then 10 minutes later I'm on a meeting and another meeting and another meeting and it's gone, right? So instead of doing that, we created a form on our product development kind of communication website. It's right here on the top, called Request. So you hop in here. It's not the prettiest thing we're working on. Anyway, you hop in here, give us your idea, kind of give us some background on the idea. It flows into a sheet. That way it never goes anywhere. And then in the product council meetings, what we'll do is sit down with management, go over the ideas, and then prioritize together, not just product. It's not us in a silo sitting upstairs in our little corner. It's all of us, all of your representation, going through and saying, these are the things we think would have the biggest impact for the company. And that could mean anything from revenue, right? We enjoy money. That's why we're here. But it also means for operational efficiency. So if it helps production build faster and stop having to do so many repetitive actions, or help support not have to do the same thing a million times a day, right? Or makes their job a little easier. So there's all sorts of things that we do that go beyond just trying to sell more widgets. Ultimately, the end goal is to sell more widgets, but within that, it's making everybody's lives easier, their life more enjoyable, whatever, their work life more enjoyable. Don't want to go too far in my promises. So that's there. And of course, there's a bunch of other stuff on there. So if you go in the meeting we're having today, for instance, well, hopefully if this thing is recording, which I think that it is now, you can hop in here, rewatch the video. If there's a feature you want to go over specifically, you can hop in where we relist out the actual things that we talk about, the very specific releases that we've done. And then as we continue to build out with the help of Jason King, very specific updates about specific releases, right? So one we did last time was putting offers on inventory pages. So we're taking incentive offers and not just having some page on the side where it talks about incentives. We're putting those incentives on a VDP or on an SRP so our customer sees those within the shopping process like this. So in order to communicate this better, we put a specific page together that tells you all about that actual thing, right, that module or that update, that release. So someone in account management would want to read this so they can help communicate with the customer and understand the benefits. And then someone in production may understand all those things and need to read this, but they need to know how to use it. So we also link to the tech docs, which is very specific, gets into Builder and Ignite and how to actually implement these things. So as we continue to grow out the product readiness team and our skills and our time to do this, all of the things that we release should have this supporting documentation so you guys, first of all, know that it's there. There's nothing more frustrating for us than us putting something out and you don't even know it's there. And then second most frustrating is it's there, but you don't know how to use it, right? And so you inadvertently use it wrong, or you just don't use it because you don't know how to. So we want the things that we take the time to build and you take the time to help us identify to be utilized. So that's what the main purpose of this is. So please use it as necessary, and always, of course, give us feedback on those things that you think could be improved as far as communication, and then, of course, the product as well. So I don't want to hog all the time. I want to keep this relatively short, and we know I have a lot of important people doing important things in the room. So we'll jump kind of straight into it. I don't know how much everybody on the phone versus in the room knows everyone. So first is going to be Genevieve Fichet to talk about some Ignite releases. So Genevieve's been with the company for a while. Superstar as it comes to analytics. She kind of pioneered the analytics department and initiative at the company. We were pretty scatterbrained before. So she now works on the Ignite products and projects, and so she will go over this sprint, right, or I guess this month worth of releases, so 2 sprints roughly. So a little bit of background, we're an agile shop, I guess, so that's how we do our development. So 2-week cycles of working on stuff, and then we put it out and we do another 2-week cycle. So every 2 weeks we kind of refill the hopper, what we're going to work on, so we can remain agile, I guess. So that's when I say 2 sprints, this is 4 weeks worth of work that we're talking about now. So let's go, Genevieve. You want to run it?
I'll try. I'm not Mac savvy. All right. I did want to mention one other thing, as Aaron mentioned on the product request form. We really encourage you guys to go out there and push your ideas through on that. But I'm also going to play the bad cop of the group and say, we love to see your ideas out there, and anything that you push through in this form, we will read, we will dig into and research. It does not mean we're going to build it. So just so you don't say, I submitted a form. I know, I'm bad cop. Just so when you're submitting the form, don't expect that 4 weeks from now you're going to see it as part of that. But if we do create the request from the form, we'll probably end up reaching out to you directly, asking you for a little bit more info, especially requests that come from dealers, kind of talking with you guys, getting your input as we go through building it, as well as then you'll see it in these sprint reviews as we talk about once it is live. So you won't be out of the loop of did they build it, did they not build it. But just so you kind of understand that process, we do filter through a ton of ideas. And obviously with our programming resources, we can't build every single thing ever. But we still want to see you getting those ideas out there, and so we can push them through as we have time, essentially.
I'll interrupt for a minute. So usually this is more of a conversational setting where it's just a few of us. We do want you guys to be able to ask questions during this, but we don't want to totally derail and spend too much time. So if you're in the room, what we'll do is after each person's segment, we'll ask questions, and if you're on the line, we'll check the chat in between sessions, and then we'll kind of address questions that you have, because we don't want to leave those things unanswered. And of course, anytime, talk to any of us outside of these formal meetings.
All right, Ignite releases. Part of the Ignite releases, we've got a big initiative on growing out the Ignite app, so kind of moving it beyond the functionality of just having inventory in there. So the latest release is strictly focused on iOS right now. They're building out Android this sprint, so those will go live within the next month. And this is showroom management within the app. So you won't be able to do everything that you could do from Ignite Desktop. Obviously, when you're starting to talk about images and things of that nature, it's not designed for that, but it's meant for dealers that are quickly on the go, want to delete a slide off of their slideshow and quickly manage, rearrange that, so they can quickly do things of that nature on there. So again, the reason we built it out, we've noticed a ton of dealers actually trying to access the desktop site from mobile devices, a lot more than we ever realized. We've got 30% of traffic attempting over and over again to try and access things. And obviously, I don't know if any of you have tried to go to the site from a small device. Corey gives a big thumbs down. Not the ideal approach. Ignite is designed to be a more robust system. So we're using the app as kind of that on-the-go option for dealers. Next one, and Kevin will probably go into detail on these a little bit more, but we've been building out the price rules tools with a big emphasis on the Texas price rules requirements and breakdown. So as part of this, we did release 2 additional criteria that you'll see populate under there. This is live now, and it was a customer request. So we've added transmission and fuel as additional options for filtering through those. And on that same price rules tool, we've also added a disclaimer on behalf of legal. So that's just going to be part of every rule you create. So if you're going in there creating your rules, it's there, it's going to be there for every rule, it's never going away. You might get sick of seeing it, but it's there for legal reasons. Just kind of protecting ourselves against if there's any issues, if they're creating this big rule and all of a sudden their price drops way, way low and they come at us, why is it so low? We're just kind of getting our boundaries crossed there nicely. So that disclaimer is now live at the bottom of that price rule. Next one is we added the Google AdWords client ID field. So if you've seen where the Google Analytics ID goes in under that website general info section, we've now added the AdWords client ID, and this will be managed by the AdWords team. This was added initially for our OEM export reports. So now we can pull directly from the AdWords API as long as we know which account to be pulling that info from. So this is kind of our tying those areas together. And it's also going to be a nice stepping stone as we build out the analytics widgets. So starting to report on AdWords within Ignite, that we know which ones to tie to which. So that field is out there, and Calvin's team will be managing that. Surprise? No, I think we discussed that already.
What about, say my question till the end, especially if an external client wants to use that for some reason, would we allow customers to have access to that field?
No.
No. I answered that question.
Next one is tying together with Crossfire. So I'm sure you guys, or hopefully, have seen the Identified Visitors tab under Reports. We've built that out so that you can create a custom grid view and just kind of define how you want to sort through that. Initially, this was created for internal reporting purposes. We wanted to create a field where we could see the date that they've been identified. So we can go through and see, for the month of February, how many new customers have we been able to identify with the Crossfire tool. So that is out there, and it also gives a ton of other fields, so customers can use it as well and do have access to that, but it was designed for internal purposes. Last section is inventory. For you, those of you that were here for the last releases, we talked about how we've had a ton of requests from dealers asking for us to be able to report directly on a specific vehicle. So each individual VIN, or they want a list of which vehicles have zero traffic going to them. So that kind of spurred some of these latest projects. And last time we talked about how within the vehicle details page, we've broken out a few core metrics for each vehicle. These next two projects tie in with that. So this is on that right side box. Once you go into inventory, you go to edit a specific vehicle, you'll see on that right side box there's going to be a few additional fields now. We redesigned the layout of it a little bit, added what date that vehicle was added into stock and how many days in stock that vehicle has been in, as well as VDP views, number of leads for that vehicle, and for both of those, that's combined for whichever sites that vehicle shows up on. So for Briggs Auto, that same car might be listed on 5 or 6 of their sites, so that number is going to be the sum of all of those. So something to keep in mind. But we do, in this right side box now, break down exactly which sites that piece of inventory is listed on, so they kind of have an idea of where those numbers are coming from. And the second part of that is under Report. One that's now live is called Inventory Reporting. And this is essentially a view that looks very similar to our inventory breakout, but specifically designed for representing search views and vehicle detail page views. So this is a nice way for customers to be able to go in and see, like we were talking about, how many cars weren't viewed at all last week. So I just want to, I can operate a Mac. Okay, so this, you'll find it under the reports, inventory reporting, see this breakdown. So it gives customers that option to break out the date range they want to show. So let's say I want to check out last week, apply that date range. This is going to be all of the websites that car shows up on. I can see this particular 2016 Dodge Dart showed up in search 255 times, and there was 2 VDP page views for it. Now, if I want to break it down a little bit further, I could say I just want to know for this particular website, I want only the new cars and only the new Buicks. Then all of my analytics are going to change and just represent for that particular website. And this will be huge for account managers. I know you guys have been getting this request a lot, and the analytics team. I can then sort this. These are the new Buicks that weren't viewed at all last week. I can export it to an Excel spreadsheet. No, there.
Hey,
right.
hey Genevieve.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Operate.
All right.
All right.
Hit us.
That is the end of Ignite. Do you guys have any questions?
Let me check the chat. Nothing. No questions? We good? All right, Kevin, hit it.
Identify a visitor. Is there a field that displays the IP address of the identified visitor?
No.
Do you think that would be useful for potential market research? That you could try to get understand their behavior before they were identified and try to get an idea of the life cycle?
So even if they weren't identified yet, once they are identified, it pulls in all of that back data tied along with it. So just because they finally filled out a lead on their 4th visit, once we do tie that, they did have a customer ID prior to that we tie it all together with. So once we do identify that this is John Smith on his 4th visit, then we see the first 3 visits all pulled in together with it.
So a couple questions online, and people wanted us to repeat the questions asked in here. So the question was, are we kind of reporting or tying the behavior to an IP address to be able to report on that? The answer is, technical answer is kind of yes, but front-end answer is no. The IP address is kind of a weak point to tie analytics to, because for this office, for example, Corey, is Corey even here? Corey! Come back! We have like 2 IP addresses for the entire office, right? So you'd be tying all our behavior to this one entity, which wouldn't be all that helpful. So our analytics, particularly the user analytics, are based on cookies. So we can actually cookie that specific machine or browser, whatever you want to call it. So we tie most of it to that. That being said, we don't not track which IPs that cookie is coming from, right? And then there's a question on here. Can you sort leads by leads and inventory reporting? So lead count per vehicle.
You can sort by lead count, yes.
I'm guessing is what John means. I don't know who John is. It just says John. So John, if you can hear us, you can sort by, perfect. You can hear us. What else? I think just Jennifer. We thought about adding test drive data from the CRM too. Would love to. Yeah, we'd love to flow that through from the CRM and then show it on the website and the interested module, so you guys know the module we have on the VDP right now, or an SRP in some places. 17 people are interested in this vehicle. We'd love to have a secondary or switch that around and say 2 people have actually test driven this vehicle, or there have been 4 offers on this vehicle, or whatever. So that's going to come down to working with Jason and the CRM team to work out some sort of delivery mechanism, whether it's an API just to send that count through and the related VIN, or for us to pass inventory through that, or pass that number to inventory, pass it to us. But we would absolutely love to have that. Anything else? Thank you for the questions. We appreciate that. Nice. So next up is Kevin. Let me find Kevin, or Kevin, do you want to unmute yourself? Probably easier for you at this point. There's so many people. Where are you, Kev? He's already unmuted. Kevin, you there? Should I present for Kevin? Drew, can you hear me, right? You're the only one I can see. Do you want to jump to yours? Hey.
That's
Give
what
me a
happens
second
when
and
I
I'll
get
mute
muted.
myself so that doesn't happen.
Okay. Yeah, it seems like Kevin is having trouble with his microphone, maybe. So yeah, let's jump to mine. Go to slide up. I start with Windows sticker. I'm doing some of the Engine 5 stuff, so it'll be like slide 16 or something. There it is. Windows sticker. I mean, I can do Kevin's too, but in case he gets his microphone working, I'll just start with my stuff. So, what are you doing? So, as you guys know, well, as you probably don't know, my name is Eric. Sorry I can't be there with you today. Usually I try to come up for releases meetings. Couldn't make it this month. See you soon. See a lot of you at my wedding next week. Oh my God. I work on a lot of different things. I used to work only on Engine 5, so I'm still doing some stories on Engine 5 or wrapping up some stories that I had started. And then I've moved on to Engine 6 and digital retail, which we'll talk about here in just a sec. But some of the Engine 5 stuff that I'm buttoning up are just a few things here. So first is a window sticker button. So you see on some websites the opportunity to download a vehicle brochure on a VDP or an SRP. And per the request of a dealer in production, we created this because this was like a deal breaker. Don Ford built this website. PJ Cashman sold it. Props to those guys. Did a good job, especially Don. I really like how this website turned out. For you salespeople, account managers that like to show off websites, I think Orland Toyota is a really nice one. One additional feature you'll see on this website that you won't see anywhere else yet are these window stickers, and they're really nice. You just go to the SRP or VDP, click View Window Sticker, and it'll download a PDF of the vehicle brochure. It's very easy to turn on. You just go to Ignite, and within Ignite, you'll see under the General Info Services tab an option to generate the brochure. You toggle that on, and bam, you've got View Window Sticker. So check it out, try it out. If you're a web services person, see if you like it. Offer it to dealers. They might be interested. And if you have any questions about it in detail, Jason King has put together an awesome tech doc, and that is available and finished. So get with one of us or with Jason. We can get you that tech doc, and it'll explain all about how it works and how to configure it. That is the window sticker. Okay, next is price rules. This is one that we have been eagerly anticipating the release of for months now. Genevieve alluded to it. Her and her team have played a huge role in making this possible because it's a project that has required a lot of back-end and front-end changes. So on the Ignite side, Genevieve mentioned, you know, they added some filters like transmission and fuel type. And what she means is you can apply a price rule based on those criteria. So if you have a Nissan 370Z and you only have a rebate on the manual transmission, you can create a price rule for manual. Whereas before, if you had a rebate on just the manual but not the automatic, our system wouldn't allow that. So now we have that additional criteria to apply a price rule based on transmission and also by fuel type. Certainly price rules goes well beyond that. The original reason why we created this was because of Texas law, state compliance. We have to, understandably, display how a dealer arrives at a price that is offered to a customer. So, you know, in the past you've seen MSRP scratched out and then your price or something like that. And it could be $4,000 under MSRP. It's like, well, do I qualify for those rebates, or how do we get that? So now Price Rules allows you to line out each rebate or discount in the price block so that the customer is well aware of how you arrived at that price. There are two facets to it. The first is universal price rules, rules that apply to everyone, and then those that are conditional, like a military rebate or a college rebate. Obviously, not everybody qualifies for those, but dealers often want to display them so they can display a very low price with conditional offers. So now, with our price rule system, you're able to show the original price, or MSRP, the universal discounts, which apply to everyone. It'll automatically create a your price based on MSRP minus universal discounts. And then you can add conditional discounts, which display below the your price, and it'll show a price with conditional offers. And as you saw in the Ignite interface, you're able to add a disclaimer for each one of those price rules. When you do so, it'll create a tooltip within the price block that you can then click, and upon doing so, it will display all of the disclaimers for each price rule in a fancy little flyout panel that comes out from the right side of the screen. A couple notes before we move on with this. There's obviously a lot that goes into this and a lot to learn if you are to use it. So I recommend that you check out Jason's tech doc before you just go and try to do it. So make sure you get that from one of us or from Jason. And another note is that because obviously we are automatically applying stuff within the price block, you're going to need to update the price HTML file for it to work. So if you make any changes with price rules moving forward, you're going to have to update the price HTML. All of the information on how you can do that, what code you need, where to put it, is in that tech doc. So check that out. I think that's it for price rules. Oh, where did we go? There's one more Engine 5 one that I've got. There it is. Okay. OEM logos added to used cars menu. This was a request from production and from design. In the past, we had no ability to automatically populate manufacturer logos within a used car menu. Not all websites use a menu like this, but oftentimes dealers will, similar to their new car menu, want to show the logos of the manufacturers that they represent. So in the past, we had to upload those images each time for each site. Now we have a database of those images, and you can access them with a single click. So you can there's a quick toggle in Builder under the Global Modules menu module, and you can just click, bam, show manufacturer logos on used cars, just like you do for new cars, and it works. There's release notes here, and yeah, make sure you check that out if you build websites. That will be on pd.dealerfire.com, but it's right in Builder. You just check the box and those logos will populate. So I'm hoping that will save production and design a whole lot of time if you ever want to build a menu like this in the future. So those are my 3 Engine 5 releases. We have a few more from Kevin. Kevin, were you able to get your microphone working?
Are you able to hear me now?
Are you able to hear me now? Yes.
There we go.
There we go. Nice.
There's an echo there. If you could mute yourself.
Mute yourself. Okay.
Awesome. Okay, so Aaron, if you could drive back to the start of Engine 5 then, we'll get started with Omni. All right, great. So as Eric said, we kind of tag team some of the E5 stuff right now as Eric's working on some of the things with digital retail and Engine 6, but we had a few pretty big releases for E5 this specific month, and actually the last couple months. The first one of which is this Omni Honda showroom update. So as Genevieve kind of mentioned before, one of the biggest things that we've been working on the Ignite side is a model management system so that we don't have to make programmatic updates to the showrooms as needed, whether it's for Volkswagen or JLR, or in this case, Omni, which is a client of ours that has Honda-specific Tier 2 websites. So what we had to do in this case was update all of the old 2015 content to 2016 content. We had to add MSRP and MPG disclaimers to the showroom and the model details pages, or MDPs, in order to be compliant with Honda. And we also had to add trim levels. So like, for instance, 2015 Civic actually needed to be the 2015 Civic Sedan. So there's a lot of compliance things that we had to get through. It took a couple sprints to get there. For those of you in support like Rob and in account management like Joseph and Sam, this is obviously quite a process for us, but finally got it released. Next step in this for Omni specifically is adding videos to the MDPs and then also sorting some of the trim levels by price as well. So pretty big project. Once we have model management release in Ignite, that'll certainly help out with the load that's been placed on programming team to update these databases. Next slide, Aaron. All right, recently viewed vehicles. So one of the initiatives that myself, Aaron, Eric, Genevieve have, especially with things like Crossfire, is getting more behavioral cues on the website itself for consumers. So one of the things that we decided to do, if anybody was at our Sneaks and Releases meeting last month, we actually created a module that splits the virtual garage or save vehicle function on Engine 5 into save vehicle and view recent vehicles. So every VDP that a user visits actually pops into that little virtual garage tray. The second portion of that is actually putting a little overlay, or in this case a little icon on each individual picture on the SRP VDP that shows that a vehicle was recently viewed. So again, a little bit more of a behavioral cue that says to the customer, you've been to the site before and these are the vehicles that you visited themselves. This is in final Q&A. It's on testing on some OEM sites right now, but it should be in full release here probably by the end of this sprint, and it'll show the user's 15 most recently viewed vehicles. Next slide, Aaron. This is the big one. So this is one that myself and Eric have been working on now since November, December-ish, and it's got quite a few different pieces and it's still growing. So incentive merchandising is the ability for us to use the Manage Offers module within Ignite. You guys probably know it as special offers, to create lease and financing specific offers on the front end of the website. So what incentive merchandising does is it takes that exact same module and the functionality behind it and dynamically generates a banner on the SRP, on the MDP, and then potentially also on things like CLPs and maybe even VDPs with all that information. So it uses the exact same lease payment, the financing. It uses the same thumbnail image that's inserted into Ignite as well. And the idea behind this is that we take, hopefully, a good load of work off of support design that has to create these SRP banners all the time. So this was kind of step 2. If you remember step 1, it was actually, as Aaron mentioned before, inserting the lease and financing offer on each individual piece of qualifying inventory on the SRP and VDP. To show you a live example of where this works, Aaron, can you click on that vw.dealerfire link at the very bottom there? So the OEM theme site has this currently installed. So there is the SRP banner dynamically generated from an offer we inserted into Ignite. And if you scroll down, you'll see all of the manufacturer offers that are in there as well. Now the big kicker with this is that right now this is still a manual process. So you still have to create an offer. The dealer does, the support team does, the account manager does. Once it's created though, it will actually dynamically display on site once it's configured and activated. But the idea is for our kind of next, I don't know if we would call it, Aaron, a rock or a boulder project, but it would actually be automating those incentives. So whether it be through a company like AIS or DealerTrack, but getting, or even the OEM themselves, but getting that information in an automated feed that uses our existing modules that we just built, so the dealer never has to touch this stuff. They can basically just say if they want to show it or if they don't want to show it. And if you click, Aaron, on the View Details button there on the banner itself, it uses the exact same functionality as the Special Offers module. So the same overlay with lease, finance, disclaimer. They can, user can submit a lead from here or even make a phone call from there or print it as well. So Really great feature that I think will enhance visibility of incentives across the sites. All right. I think you can go down to OEM then, Aaron. So OEM, obviously really big for us over the last year. Volkswagen, we've got about a year under our belt. We have about 170 Volkswagen dealers, which is pretty awesome considering we started with 2 when we first launched the program. And Volkswagen for us, this is kind of our 1-year anniversary where we want to offer something different. So in this case, we're actually developing theme number 2 for Volkswagen. Jesse Klotz is helping work with this. Mark Hornig did the design, so those guys have been working on this. And the idea is to offer a little bit more diversity in the offerings for Volkswagen. I believe once we release this, we'll be the only ones that have 2 separate offerings in terms of a Volkswagen theme for those dealers. So a little bit more diverse. This is on dev currently. We still have to build a couple new modules for model lineup and for the coupon homepage module. But the idea is to have this ready to release sometime in early Q2. It'll run through compliance, and it'll be available to any VW dealer that enrolls or wants to potentially roll their site over to it. A couple other things I want to mention, Aaron, if you want to go to the next slide. So Jaguar has been also very, very big for us. One of the cool things about the Jaguar program, for those of you that might have attended our webinar this morning that we had with JLR, starting April 1st, DealerFire will be one of 3 certified JLR digital advertising vendors in the industry. So all the JLR dealers, 270 some of them, will have the opportunity to enroll with DealerFire websites and digital advertising, whereas before they were just with one specific digital advertising company. So it's a pretty big step for us, and especially on the website side, we have to make sure that some of the collateral and assets that we have mirror exactly what Tier 1 is doing, so we can make sure that we're compliant in the program. One of those things is the release of the 2017 F-Type SVR. This is a CLP that was created by Mark and Jesse. And this will actually be globally put on every single JLR site out there to get a little bit more visibility on this new model. Next slide, Aaron. Also, JLR is really big on prepaid maintenance. So the Land Rover site and the Jaguar sites, these are currently being worked on. They're not on dev yet, but soon to be. Sometime in Q2, this will probably be released. And this is just a CLP that basically features all their prepaid maintenance and warranty programs that'll be rolled out program-wide. Next slide, please. Some other OEM stuff just to quickly mention as well. I don't know if Aaron brought this up at the top of the hour, but we are currently in the running, I guess you could say, for 2 other OEM programs. So we could potentially take that count of DealerFire from 6 programs to 8, probably within the next couple months. So it's really exciting stuff. And with that, we really want to make sure, obviously, that we're doing a really good job in those OEM programs that we currently have. So with that, there's been a lot of just reporting and just kind of like daily updating and optimizing to these other programs. Things like VW, which if you're in support, you've known that VW has changed their logo like 4 times now in the last year. So every time that happens, we have to make sure that we update that logo across all sites. Also, Genevieve had mentioned in her specific presentation that we entered an AdWords client ID into Ignite. So what that's going to do now is that's going to start pulling AdWords call data through the API and actually reporting it to all of our OEM programs, specifically for PPC calls. We also are making some updates on MDPs like XE and FPace, making sure that those showrooms are ready. A lot of tagging implementation and budget mapping, and then just some exporting naming conventions. So for those of you that don't know, basically every OEM program we have to send daily website and digital advertising metrics to Shift, where they combine them on their side and send them to the appropriate OEM. So we have to do that every single day. There's always changes, and we have a programming team. Genevieve's team a lot of the time is tasked with that, and they've done an awesome job. So OEM stuff is going extremely well. We're getting extremely high marks there, not only with how we're running the program, but also the support behind it. So a big congrats to everybody out there that's worked on OEM stuff.
Drew, mute yourself for a minute, will you? Do it. Did it. All right, so most of what you heard so far, and the main intent of this meeting is to go over things that have released, so we call it a release meeting. So we want to stay away too far from talking about things that are kind of in the distance. We don't want, whether it's sales or AM or support or any of us kind of over-promising if we're not ready to do something. So most of what we talked about, you can go ahead and in conversations, or if you need to, bring it up because it's imminently being released. But Eric Giroux is kind of moving off of our current projects as some of these items that he was kind of on before are sunsetting or being released, and Kevin's taken over on some of those. So, and we do want to give you some insights into some of the distant things that we are working on as well. So we thought he's working on two things. One is digital retail, which I'll tell you about in a minute. The other one's Engine 6, both of which, digital retail, we're probably talking within 6 months, Engine 6 within the year. So we do want to start, I just now saw his note at the bottom, nice. We do want to start showing you some of these things, getting you excited, giving you some insight, potentially so we can get some feedback from you, but we cannot, absolutely cannot take any photos or share this with anybody in conversations because we don't know when it's going to release, and we don't want to overpromise things. One of the core kind of tenets of the department is do what we say we're going to do when we're going to do it, and so we don't want to set a false expectation for anybody out there. So I did want Eric to get in here and show you guys some things because we're excited about it, and I think market-wise it kind of brings us up to speed with some of our better competitors. But please don't, when these things come up, don't go out there and try to sell it or anything. All right, Eric, go ahead.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Can you like wave into the camera, Aaron? You can hear me? All right, cool. Where to begin? Oh, first, I mean, we went over a lot of Engine 5 stuff there, including, you know, price rules and incentives merchandising. Those are big releases, important stuff. A lot of our web services teams are going to be using that, and account managers. I hope you're letting our dealers know about these things. So I'm going to jump into digital retail and a smidgen of E6, but if anyone has any questions, we'll certainly we can take some E5 questions at the end, or for people on the call, feel free to throw them into the chat now, and we can do that when I wrap this up. So I was going to show just digital retail, but I made this fancy little prototype for the Engine 6 SRP that we've been working on. So I wanted to just show you a little preview. This is a tablet prototype. Obviously, Engine 6, big on mobile first, so why not show it on tablet and on a device? But just a couple things to show you how it will function a little differently from our current SRP is filters. So when we look at filters, we are going to have a fly-out panel from the left, which provides a lot of user experience advantages, as well as some big advantages as far as scalability across devices. So I'm really excited about this UI and how it's going to set our SRP apart and make it very easy to sort through a lot of inventory. So just real quickly, I'll show you some filters and what it'll look like when it's expanded. We'll do away with those ugly blue check boxes. We will be using normalized color data, generic colors. We will be using sliders for setting ranges. We are going to allow the user to set their own payment terms through another module, which I'll probably sneak next month, called the payment configuration module, which allows people to adjust their payment terms to show much more accurate monthly payments, because as we're learning, people are much more sensitive to their monthly payment versus a price. And it's really impossible to estimate an accurate monthly payment unless you understand what the customer's payment terms are, like down payment, APR, and their APR and how long they're going to be financing the vehicle for. So a lot of awesome enhancements coming in E6 on the inventory pages, and this is what she's going to look like. Pretty slick, huh? All right, let's jump into the digital retail prototype. So this demo, we have like 100 screens for 1,001 different use cases and workflows. I'm just going to blaze through this here pretty quickly. Don't want to get too much into the weeds because a lot of this is subject to change. So I just kind of wanted to give you an idea of what we're building. So when we say digital retail, what do we mean? We're talking about completing as much of the transaction on a vehicle, purchasing a vehicle online as possible. Now we're not to the point where we're eliminating, you know, dealer interaction entirely, and the dealer is just a delivery center. You know, we think that's 5 years out. But what we are trying to do is improve the experience for the customer by allowing them to get their homework done whenever and wherever they want. So when they come into the dealership, the dealer already has all of their information about the structure of their deal, the type of protections they're interested in, so that they're really close on the negotiation, and it saves both parties a lot of time at the dealership in being able to facilitate a transaction, because so much of it's already been completed. And then another note on digital retail, you know, immediately you think, okay, well, I'm going to do this online at home. Well, the idea is that we will create an experience that is so enjoyable for both the dealer and for the user that we hope dealers will, you know, be handing tablets to their customers as they're on the lot or in the showroom when they're interested in vehicles, to help the user input their information to arrive at a very precise price and monthly payment for that vehicle, and digitally transmit all of the information the dealer would need in order to package up the deal and get the customer on their way if they decide to buy. So it's a really exciting technology. Like Aaron mentioned, some of the better competitors within the Big Four have products like this, but I'm actually excited to be kind of later to market with it, because I don't think they've done a great job. I think buying a car is an extremely complex process, and I think their digital retail pieces are very complex, and they don't make it easy to understand. They don't hold your hand through the process, and it's really not a resourceful tool for anyone unless they're, you know, they're on their 10th vehicle purchase and they really know what's going on. So we have a chance to kind of disrupt the industry with a tool that others have attempted but have not been successful in implementing. And not only that, I don't really think the market has been ready for a digital retail piece until very recently. So I think our timing is going to be just right, and I think we're going to do it better than others. So with that intro, let's just dive into it. So the idea is this will be a standalone product. It will be able to exist on any website, whether it's a Dealer Fire website, Dealer On, Dealer Inspire, you name it. It'll be a standalone product that the sales team can go out and sell to anyone on any website platform, which is unique in the Dealer Fire portfolio outside of content marketing, digital marketing. So it'll be kind of in that same product category. So this will be the embed that will exist on BDPs that will get people interested in interacting with their monthly payment, letting them know that they're in the driver's seat, car pun intended, to adjust their monthly payment and arrive at a price that is comfortable for them. And we hope to get them to interact with this module so that it launches this larger modal that will overlay the BDP. So we have these helpful tooltips. Like I said, a lot of other things products are complex and difficult to navigate, and one of our primary goals is to take a complex process and make it easy for anyone, even if they've never bought a car before. Kind of like, I would imagine many of you have filed your own taxes using TurboTax. Taxes are tough. It's really difficult, but there are companies like TurboTax that empower you. They make you feel like, hey, I can do this, I understand it now, and you get a lot of loyalty to that brand when they help you and empower you like that. So we hope to do that same thing with the purchase of a vehicle. So we tell them we're going to save them a bunch of time and money. Then we tell them how to interact with our module. You can change settings, you can review your deal here, you can navigate through your deal here, and all the while, as you continue to go through this process, you're going to see your monthly payment become more and more accurate based on the user inputs. And there's, let's just get to it. So you would adjust your payment terms. These are the things that mainly impact the cost of a vehicle and your monthly payment, right? How much you're willing to put down, how long you want to finance for, what your credit situation is. What else impacts your vehicle price and your monthly payments? Well, what if you're trading in a vehicle? Of course, that's going to impact your price. So we have a trade-in evaluation tool here that will be working with the Inventory Plus team to integrate with their technologies to return values on vehicles. So we say, yeah, I'm trading in my car, help me calculate the value. Okay, I can input my VIN, that'll automatically populate the vehicle information here, or you can just input it if you don't know your VIN or don't know how to find it. You can input your mileage, because obviously that impacts the vehicle's value. You'll select the options. If you've ever, done a trade-in evaluation on your own vehicle, that's what we're doing. Then we ask questions, has there ever been an accident? Are you still making payments on that vehicle? That's very important, because if your car's worth 20 grand, that's great, but if you still owe 14, that's a lot different than if you own it outright. So you certainly we need to account for that. Then we get to a trade summary screen where we highlight what it's worth, what they owe, what their savings are in taxes. Sorry, I'm just blazing through this, but there's a lot to go through, and I don't want to spend too much time on it. So, hey, you're doing great. We've got your payment terms, we've got your trade-in, and now let's find you even further discounts. All right, let's do it. So here we're going to show rebates. If they're already pre-qualified for rebate, we'll select them for it. If there's a loyalty bonus and they've if they're buying a VW and they're trading in a VW, they've already been through the trade-in process, we know that they're going to qualify for the loyalty bonus, then we can pre-select them, pre-qualify for them for that offer. Then there are rebates and incentives that are kind of smaller and don't, aren't the huge ones that are advertised on commercials, but kind of those conditional offers, like, are you a member of the military? So we'll list them here, allow people to self-select which they think they might qualify for, and those will help the dealer to determine what price they can offer the customer. Okay, hey, now we're nearly finished. We've identified a lot of savings, but of course, with any purchase of this size, there's going to be taxes, there's going to be fees, registration, titling, all that stuff. So you type in your zip code. From there, we're able to identify regional taxes, state taxes, dealer destination charges, docking fees, all of that. So that tacks onto your total here. One important thing to note, remember, this is navigable. So if I was like, oh, you know what, I forgot my car is all-wheel drive, I need to go adjust that, I can go back by just clicking in this interface here to go back to a different part of the process. So let's go to fees again, and here we're at the last step. If you've ever purchased a car, you know that there's a lot more to purchase than just the car itself. There's what's called F&I products or protections that help you to protect your purchase. If you get you lose your keys, you scratch your wheels, you get a dent and ding. There's all these different insurances you can buy so that you can protect your payment, so that unknown costs don't sneak up on you. So we are going to offer a menu of products that people can choose from, and if they obviously this is pretty rudimentary. What if I don't know what the tire and wheel coverage is, or a service contract? That's a huge thing. What is that? So if I click into the more info, I'm able to see the details of that product, express whether or not I'm interested in it, and if I do, it's going to tack that amount back into or tack it into my purchase. So from there, we're basically at the end of the process. We've arrived at a precise monthly payment. We can highlight how much savings, and we can highlight how much time they've saved if they lock in this deal and submit it to the dealership. A couple other things to note, we will, of course, offer the ability for the user to get assistance if they have any questions about this. They can even save their progress and come back later. So that is the crux of digital retail and what we hope to build over the next 6 to 9 months. So we have a new product line to sell dealers and to improve their online and offline processes by giving them this cool utility to help people save time at the dealership.
Drew, you still listening?
Yep, I can hear you.
Hmm? Can we add the meeting go away? I think it might have ended. What is going on? You know what's going on, Brad?
I'm still here.
I hear you, Aaron.
Okay, we're still here. So the question was, can we add accessories to the process, Drew? Currently, we're not doing it, but we want to. I can answer that, I guess, and so I can do it. So yeah, currently we're not planning on doing it, but long term the idea is to. The problem is getting the accessories, so we don't have easy access to that data. Whereas the rest of this we've kind of vetted out across multiple other product lines and people to be able to get it. So that's will be one of the kind of last frontiers, and that'll be a whole another thing, right? So we'll do it within that, and then hopefully a standalone kind of market where you can just hop on and buy it individually. Any other questions while we're here? Otherwise, we finished almost on time, which is good. So I guess not. Any other questions, email me, Eric, Genevieve, Kevin, whatever. Check the PD site. A lot of this data will be in information in the tech docs we'll put up there. That's kind of your go-to outside of these formal arenas. Otherwise, thanks for coming down. I appreciate it. Thanks for logging on, and we'll see you in a month. Oh, you record. You just hit record and then end it?
It looks like it goes right out. But if you hit record here, you can choose from here whether to do it or to do it.
Got it. So this is connecting, so it must be like a site that it goes to.
Right. And I think you're going to be okay because I've done it both ways, and it never looks like it works quite right when you're sending it to the site.
Yeah.
That makes it easier to share it afterwards if you send it to the site.
I normally do this with my computer, then I YouTube it on our private channel.
Yeah.
I just had never used it. I've never used WebEx before, frankly. It's our first go at it, so.
Well, and it becomes slightly more complicated with the add-in and everything else on the
Well, I'll be curious. Is it going to record all audio or just our audio? Because that would suck.
No, it will record all audio as long as anyone who jumped in gets recorded. It was good that you expanded it when they took over the presenter role because it doesn't travel with the presenter. So it only records what you've got going.
Sure.
So when you bump it out, then that works better. And then some